My name is Asha. I am the COO of a company called Porch.com. And Porch is trying to be the best choice for homeowners to get their jobs done today. But we have a much bigger mission. We want to help people love their home. And so we have unique advantages that a lot of companies don't. We have data to help homeowners know which pros have worked on which homes at what price and on homes like theirs. And we have been around for 18 months trying to build a product that will help homeowners love their home. When I think about like the industry that I've been in for the past 2 years with Porch, it's reminiscent of Moore's Law in that when we first started thinking about the concept of Porch, there was maybe 2 competitors at scale in the home services or the home improvement market. If I fast forward maybe a year later, there was probably 65 competitors in the space, and now today, I bet a lot of people in this room are competing in the home space, including the previous speaker. I think it's an interesting topic, which is how do you actually break through the noise? How do you get distribution? There's a lot of levers to do it. I believe, though, one of the most important things is to actually figure out how to be seen and how to be discovered so people can have a chance to love you and grow a relationship with you. When I joined Porch 2 years ago, we had no product, we had no name, and we had no website. And the CEO of the company said, Asha, your job is to do marketing. Your job is to get us customers. I had no idea what the LTV looked like. I had no idea what the CAC looked like. I had no budget. And so I had to be really scrappy in order to figure out how am I going to create something that's very, very durable to get us off the ground. And 18 months after we launched, we created a platform where professionals, we have 3.2 million professionals, and we have 1 million projects being uploaded every single month. In our first 6 months of operating revenue, we had 8-digit ARR. We have millions of monthly uniques today, and we raised $100 million in funding through our Series B. You can also find us in every single Lowe's home improvement store, which gave us instant distribution at the bottom of the funnel. There's 1,700 Lowe's stores in the nation with 250,000 associates using our product every single day to help America love their homes. When I think about what it took to get us to where we are, there were a lot of levers. I'm responsible for sales, for marketing, for operations, for support, and I had choices to make, whether I increased the number of engineers, whether I spent money on marketing. And the biggest surprise to me that made a huge difference in our distribution was PR. So that's why I decided to talk to you guys about PR. And there were 4 interesting lessons that I learned that I believe you guys might find helpful. So first, it starts with the story. So it doesn't start with pitching press. It doesn't start with press releases. It doesn't start with links. It doesn't start by split testing your way into it. It actually starts by telling a story and capturing the imaginations of journalists everywhere. If you think about great companies out there, it's the common denominator. It's not actually if they're a marketplace or not, or what their revenue model looked like, or if they were retail or if they were hardware. It actually matters on what the story was. So Steve Jobs, he revolutionized the music industry. He revolutionized the way we work and the way we think and the way we listen to music. And it was with one story, 1,000 songs in your pocket. And he landed on the cover of Newsweek, in Times, and Fortune, and every single magazine out there. If you think of Patagonia, they were called the coolest company on the planet by Fortune. That's crazy. I actually don't know if they have the best product. There's so many outerwear companies out there. And to say that they're the coolest company on the planet, that was pure storytelling for them to go own that positioning. Howard Schultz, cover of Times, what Starbucks knows about America. Google knows more about America. Amazon knows more about America. This is a coffee company, yet they were on the cover of one of the most influential magazines that has over 1 million people reading it every single day. And the same with the Nike CEO, Mark Parker, the world's most creative CEO. I'm willing to bet that people in this room are more creative than Nike's Mark Parker. But their team owned that story, and they worked and they made that story come to life. And that's why these people are on the cover of these magazines. So Porch has told a lot of stories in our 18 months. One of the stories that we told, for example, was on our anniversary. We announced that we were going to build the home network. And so from there, we showed up in Entrepreneur, we showed up in USA Today, we showed up in Seattle Times, we showed up in BuzzFeed, we showed up in the New York Times and 40 other Tier 1 publications. Every single company has a 1-year anniversary. We had no right to do that, but anybody can do that, and here's how. First, write the story. Do not pitch press, write your story. At Porch, every single thing starts with a story. Whether you have a product idea, whether you have a vision, whether you have an announcement, you write the story that you want to see show up. 2, select your dance partner. The best stories don't just come from you. They come from the people who are super passionate about this. So in this case, we actually brought USA Today, we brought Entrepreneur, we brought the New York Times, we brought people out and into the tent. And we said, hey, we have a really special story and want you to help us tell it. And they felt very committed, and it was so important in actually making the story come to life. 3, create the assets. So every great company knows what their assets are, and they use them with the right story at the right time. For us, we had received our Series A that brought our total funding to $33 million several months before our 1-year anniversary, but we decided to use that as a hook, to use that as a reason for people to tell our story and to listen to our story. We also created the B-roll. We also showed the product screens. We also created vision documents that actually walk the press through a world in which Porch could help solve the pervasive pain of living your home. And then we actually pitched the story. The last important step of the storytelling aspect here is really important, and this was a very hard lesson to learn, which is like, you have to just be patient. Unlike performance marketing and unlike sales and unlike anything else that you will do to grow your company, it's really hard because it's just not in your control. And so you just have to be patient because you're not the one getting it across the finish line. The press is. So that was one lesson. The second lesson was you can't hack it. This is actually very, very difficult for me because I consider myself a performance operator. I'm a performance marketer by background. And so I actually spent, I spent so many days on a swing set in my CEO's backyard cold calling press. I called 700 outlets before I got my first Tier 1 story. And I was doing math on my way down here, and I was thinking, oh my gosh, if I dialed 50 dials a day, that would have taken me 14 days straight. Over our first year, we had 1,500 Tier 1 PR hits, 1,500. And I had eventually hired a team of 3 people. It would have taken them 7,000 days to achieve that, and they did it in 365 days. So you can't hack it, but the way they did it was actually through relationships, and relationships matter. It is the secret sauce to the LTV in the PR world. It is what makes these relationships go further, and that benefit compounds on itself. So, Seattle Times on the left, we actually, for the life of us, could not get into Seattle Times. We were one of the fastest growing consumer companies, and we literally couldn't get Seattle Times to write about us. New York Times wrote, Wall Street Journal wrote, and they would not write about us. And so we built a relationship. The journalist's name is Briar Dudley. I remember literally talking to him on a plane while we were taking off about his child's some event that he was going to, but didn't want to talk about Porch. And the team and I grew a relationship, and finally he called us and he said, you know what, we're not going to write about an announcement, but we want to do a profile on the company and the culture and what you guys are creating because it's really special. And that was really awesome. We were on the front page of the business section in the Sunday newspaper, which was something that was really unique for us. On the right side is Wall Street Journal. We were on the front page of the business section. The editor there we had called, and we just said, what makes you tick? We will provide that. And he said, data. And I said, great. We have data on almost every home in the United States. We have data on the projects, the price, 3.2 million professionals, you name it, we got it. We sliced it up in every direction, and we started feeding it to him. And he never wrote. And 6 months later, he called us and said, hey, you know what? I'm going to do a story about how big data is impacting small businesses. And they came to our CEO's new house that he was building, and they shot him on the front cover of the business section and cover. And it was circulated everywhere in the United States. Same thing happened in USA Today. We were in USA Today 4 times in 3 months while we were fundraising our Series B, and it took us 1 year to build the relationship for this to happen. 1 year. And we were on Mad Money, and we had the largest spike in downloads of our app ever from any of our press that we've ever done, from any of our marketing that we've ever done, and it started with a relationship on Twitter. A relationship on Twitter with the assistant producer. So, you can't hack PR. It's about relationships. So number 3, PR is more than just traditional media. It has changed and it has evolved, and that's how it can be a huge growth lever for the company. So, aside from traditional, there's syndicated and there's owned. What's great is, I think syndicated and owned is something that every single person can do in the room. It's also called content marketing a lot of times, but we've taken a little bit of a unique approach. Our PR team is a bona fide BD team. We have relationships with the top 30 publications where we are contributing every single week for them. And the way that we have done that is by knowing what our asset is. And so we've done it in a couple of ways. One is with our leadership team. We've hired unique talent from some of the best, most admirable companies, and they're just sharing their stories. They're sharing them in Entrepreneur and Fast Company and Forbes, and they're helping us recruit amazing talent. We're also contributing to lifestyle companies. So Forbes Life, we have data, like I said, we have content, and there's a lot of companies that like that. For Forbes, for She Knows, for a lot of these, we just get to post directly. And so we are getting to build a brand, and we're getting to generate very, very valuable links with high domain authority back to the pages that we dictate as we're trying to grow our site. And then the last one is owned. So we do this through, we have a section on our site that's called Porch Advice, and we test a ton of different content. It allows us the most flexibility to not only know what homeowners want and pros want, but also what the press wants. And so anything from podcasts to articles to relationships we have with celebrities, that shows up here. I will say that if you don't have any money, one unique way to be able to extend your own brand or own PR is through your sales or your customer service team. Warby Parker's done an amazing job. They are talking to thousands of customers every single month, and they have just branded that experience and created an extension of themselves that's lovable and that's shareable and that shows up online every single day. And to me, that's a huge earned asset that anybody in this room could do. So for Porch, what all of this has done so far, this broader PR strategy, it's equated to 42% share of voice. That means when anybody talks about our competition, or when anybody talks about home improvement, or when anybody talks about home services, 42% of the time they're also talking about Porch. It's also creating massive organic growth. So the pages with organic traffic have gone up since we actually started our syndicated efforts. And that's going to continue to be a focus for the company forever. So the last lesson I learned is one around a question I get all the time, which is, what agency do you use for your PR? And the answer is simple. We don't. We built it in-house, and I would highly, highly, highly recommend that anybody in this room build their PR team in-house for several reasons. And I will caveat that by saying, I understand it's a fixed expense that sometimes doesn't drop to revenue. It has been totally worth it for us. So one, why build it in-house? Your story is your IP. I read something really awesome. So the head of communications for Apple and UPS both report into the CEO of the company because it's that important to the brands. The head of communications at UPS also sits on the board. For Porch, certainly our story is our IP. It's how we start and create things, and then we will that story into existence. It is our DNA, and I couldn't imagine that being anywhere outside of the company. 2, in full disclosure, I tried a lot of different agencies. And they did not work, and it was not for lack of the talent of the agencies or even lack of experience. The fact is, startups have like dog years. Like one day is like 10 months. It's crazy. And to expect that you can actually translate your story as quickly as you're understanding it and evolving it and executing it to an agency and then to a journalist is a lot of breakage along the way, and it's a ton of tax on you. Like, you, at the end of the day, are the reason why the journalist is going to write. And the last thing is, you want to be able to manage your message, and that's why you want your PR team in-house. As you grow, PR is something that stays with you. It's not just for the short-term gains. It's something that, if you can actually build a really, really great company, it has massive dividends that it can pay out. And it actually can help or hurt you when you're a public company. We've seen unfortunate incidences where PR disasters actually hurt your earnings. We've also seen terrible incidences where things get outside your control. What we're building, I think everybody feels such a close connection to what they're doing. You're on your highest highs and your lowest lows. I can't imagine when we are at our worst not having the right expertise right next door to us to make sure that we can solve the problem the right way and not lose the trust. Because that's what really makes you a great company. So, those are the things I learned about PR. I know it's historically been something that's soft and fluffy and that people don't invest in. I will say that I wholeheartedly have an awesome PR team. My head of comms is actually right there. And they have made transformational impact on our valuation, on our customers, and the company. And what's really cool, I also run the sales team, is they have bragging rights because they have a better payback than all of our sales reps right now, shorter payback time. So I'm always happy to help. I'm always happy to hear people's stories. If there's anything I can ever do, my email is asha@porch.com. Thank you.